Well, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to hop on the train, but Michael Chandler is now being so outrageous that I have to. I've been a defender of Michael Chandler's. I have been a kind of fan of Michael Chandler's. I love watching the guy fight. I respect his attitude, but at the same time, he's been dirty, and now everybody has been making fun of Michael Chandler's math. We're going to get into this delusional interview in just a second. Before we do, though, I do want to say hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Championship Rounds posted this perfectly for us, cut it up very nicely. So listen to what Michael Chandler had to say, man. This is ridiculous.
Bothered you most, the performance or the commentary? What was leaving you with a bit of a sour taste in your mouth?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of the commentary when it comes to, you know, some of the stuff that they were saying, the misinterpretation of what the back of the head is by the
The misinterpretation about what the back of the head is. I don't know what to say to that. He was pounding the back of Charles Oliveira's head over and over again.
Unified rules of mixed martial arts. The misinterpretation of what cage grabbing is.
The misinterpretation of what cage grabbing is. Michael, were your fingers not inside the cage holding yourself up?
And a couple of different things. You know, it's all water under the bridge at this point. But more than anything, I'm an honest guy. I try to live pretty full of integrity and full of honesty.
But that's the problem. That's why, and I'm going to make a video about this too. That's why the shtick of Michael Chandler doesn't really work, because he talks about all of this, then goes into the cage, fights extremely dirty. Michael Chandler is the type of guy who's like, no excuses, but I had an injured shoulder, I just had surgery, but no excuses. Hats off to Charles, I just wasn't my best self. And he's going to phrase it like he's taking accountability, but of course, any rational person can kind of figure out that he's being a little bit disingenuous.
And a narrative that has been painted is not very interesting to me, not very happy.
You painted that narrative, Michael. You painted it.
I'm very happy about it, but
your interpretation of that rule, and why do you think that you didn't do anything wrong?
Well, I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm not going to say I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, I'm not going to say that people couldn't look at it and splice it and look at it from under a fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass.
We don't need any of that. Who's doing that? Who's doing that? Who's looking to it that hard? Every single person on this planet watching that fight was like, oh my god, he's hitting him in the back of the head. The cornermen, the people looking at that through the cage, and I know they have a screen too, but those people were like, oh my god, he's hitting Michael Chandler in the back of the head. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. You see that thing on my couch back there? One might think it's a little like sleeper for the baby to sit in. Like, that might be exactly what you think, but actually it's a misinterpretation. This is a table. That's a table. That's a misinterpretation. And I don't appreciate anybody who would assume otherwise.
But the unified rules of mixed martial arts say that there is a line drawn from the crown of the head, if this were the back of the head, the crown of the head down to the neck, 1 inch variance on either side. So you're talking about a 2-inch area on the back of someone's head that is considered the back of the head. And if you watch 90% of the shots, at least, most of them, almost all of them, or at least where I was aiming, all of them, my fist was catching the ear. So if you're catching the ear...
Michael, like, I don't know what else to say. It's on video. It's on video. You were hitting him over and over again in the back of the head.
That is not the back of the head. And actually, the back of the head is not really... what you and I would call the back of the head is not what the actual definition of the back of the head is. That 2-inch strip down the back of the head. And a referee who was within 2 feet away never said one thing about it. And then you got commentators who were 35 feet away saying it's the back of the head, and then you got other people who are saying...
Yeah, but think about that, though. The refs haven't done anything ever. How often do you see refs actually enforcing the rules in MMA? Like, you got to know that yourself.
And hey, that's the back of the head, just like the Poirier fight.
Where you were fish hooking him? Where you stuck your fingers in his mouth? Every single time, man, this guy comes in and fights so dirty, and I don't want to come off. Like, I'm not a Chandler hater, but the dude is... you can't defend this. He's wrong. He's being dishonest. Then you want to sit back and talk about, like, being a man, taking accountability, being one of those guys online, right? Like, that's all nice, but at the same time, you can't, like, sit here not take accountability and just swing it to be something that it's not. Misinterpretation of the rules.
You're punching a guy behind the ear. If it's not within that 1 inch, that 2 inch variance, 1 inch variance to the center line of the back of the head, and it's just things are happening. It's going 1,000 miles an hour. If the referee was yelling at me, "Hey, Michael, watch the back of the head," or "That is the back of the head,"
I don't understand how you could possibly spin that around. Like, what kind of mental gymnastics do you need to do, man? Like, that is absolutely crazy. One of the top comments to that had this to say: I mean, they all happened. Punches and forearm shots to the back of the head, multiple cage grabs, several glove hooks to the point where Charles had to reposition to speak to the ref. That's incredibly true. And Michael has done this in every single fight. Like, of course, okay, not every single fight, but the vast majority of time, you will see Michael Chandler be a very, very dirty fighter. It doesn't end there, though, because this is the clip that everybody is making fun of Michael Chandler for. Just listen to it.
My performance. I mean, I would give myself a 2 out of 10.
Well, that's accurate. That's accurate.
Like, I cannot overstate how horrible a performance this was, or set of circumstances it was after that first round.
But I'm not gonna say like my leg just gave out or something. But again, I don't want to say, but like there were certain circumstances that led to me losing that fight because I obviously would have won it. But I'm taking accountability
compared to what my vision was for what I am capable of, and I believe I beat Charles Oliveira 9 times out of 10.
You want to listen to that part again?
Oliveira 9 times. I believe I beat Charles Oliveira 9 times out of 10.
How many times did you fight Charles Oliveira? Oh, twice. How many times did you win? 0.
I believe I beat Charles Oliveira 9 times out of 10.
I get what he's saying, but come on. At least say 8 out of 10.
And obviously I've lost to him twice now. 2 out of 2. I have a 100% loss rate to Charles Oliveira, so I understand why people might tisk at that, roll their eyes at that. I mean, I'm not happy.
Yeah, I hope you understand, because it's something to roll your eyes at. It's insane. I don't get it, man, but there were a couple more top replies to that. Like, this is the top one. This is what everybody's saying. Bud, you lost 2 times out of 2. The math ain't mathin'. That's exactly true. Math says he beats Oliveira 90 out of 100 times as well, so he still has a shot. That's actually a good point. Come on, that's actually a good point. But we all know that's not, like, Michael wasn't getting that technical with it. But anyways, the reason I wanted to include this one, not everybody deserves a spot in the UFC, because you see a lot of people actually, like, calling for Michael Chandler to be cut. At some point, I would think it would be cool for the UFC to introduce something where it's like, if you're really that dirty of a fighter, then you have no place being in the UFC. Like a long time ago, they cut Josh Koscheck for what he did. Like, when fighters act like John Jones, poke in the eyes all the time, Michael Chandler, which has every dirty move in the book, I think that after a couple performances like that, you kick them out of the UFC, but we know that's not really realistic. Regardless, though, does Chandler, aside from his cheating, belong in the UFC? He absolutely does. He almost won the fight in round 5 against Charles Oliveira. Every single time he goes in there, he makes his opponent go through hell, and he does while he is, 2-3? I'd have to think about that, but he's something like 2-3 in the UFC. He is shown that he is capable of beating anyone on any given day, and I would say a prime Michael Chandler would be a really, really good matchup for somebody like Islam Makhachev. I think Michael Chandler has all the tools to be a champion. It's just he has a fight IQ issue. And of course, now he's older, but still, like, he even proved that he belongs in here. He belongs at the top of the division. I almost, like, I feel bad making this video because everyone's dogging on Michael Chandler. I feel bad for Michael Chandler, truthfully, because I know that he's trying to be, like, inspirational. I know that he's trying to be, like, a role model for young men in the world. And a lot of what comes out of his mouth, depending on what he's talking about, just like regular male, like the advice that you'd hear on the internet, right? It's oftentimes the correct thing. But the problem is you then have Michael Chandler doing things like making excuses. He'll talk about in a podcast, like talking about accountability, being a man, all of this stuff. And then he'll turn around and just make all the excuses in the book for his fight. He'll go in there and not be a respectful fighter. He's not a respectful man in there. He's not just doing what needs to be done. He is just going in there, cheating, being dirty. Is that what a man does? No, that's what a scumbag does. That's the problem with Michael Chandler. And again, I think that people dog on him too much. I really, really do. But I'm not defending him on this one, man. He's being way, way too much of that. Too delusional, too ridiculous. I'm sure you guys, I would imagine now people have already jumped on it making videos about this, but I would love to know what you guys still think about this down below. Thank you so much for being here and watching. If you want to continue watching the channel, why don't you check out this video ranking every single MMA YouTuber based on how they would be as a cornerman. I think it's a pretty good video. You should check it out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.